Yeah.
Why haven't I ever heard of that?
All right, gentlemen, let me give instructions here, okay? So we're going to lift again in just a moment, 2 hands, okay? We're going to come onto the roller to square the cast off, but you have a card underneath, so lock it. Place the casket on the black set of rollers here. Slide all the way up. Stay with it all the way up, okay? So you
And watch your feet.
Step up in the boards.
Okay. Watch your feet.
Okay, now, stay with it all the way. And level the back end down and walk it all the way up. All the way up. Stay with it. Stay with it.
One more lift.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, step over by the chairs. Thank you for your help.
We're gathered here this afternoon to pay respects, to remember, to be inspired by the wonderful and full of blessings, life full of blessings, life of Freda Epstein, Freda bat Shia v'fruma Zelda. We're going to begin our service here this afternoon with the recitation of a number of chapters of Tehillim, of the Psalms. I'd like to call up Rabbi Kaplan, the Regional Director of Chabad of Maryland, to recite the 23rd Psalm, Tehillim Chaf Gimel.
Mizmer David. Adonai Roi lo yechsar. Vina is deshi arbitzeini al mei menuchas in ahaleni. Nafshi yeshoivev. Gan cheni b'magli tzedek leman shemoi. Gan ke'ela b'yetz amobes lo ira ra ki ato imodi. Shiftecha mishantecha heima yenachamuni. Tarech lefanai shulchan neged tzereroi. Deshanto b'Hashem areishi kaisiruvaya. Achtoi v'chesed yirufuni kol yimechayoi. V'shavti b'veit Adonai la'orech yomim.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He has me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He revives my soul. He guides me on paths of righteousness for his glory. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff do comfort me. You set a table in sight of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall live in the house of the Lord forever. Mizmor LeDavid. Adonai mi yagor ba'olecha, mi yishkon b'har kadshecha. Lord, who may live in your tent, who may dwell on your holy mountain. Holech tamim upel tzedek. She who walks in purity, does what is righteous. Bidover emet bilvavo, and speaks the truth from her heart. Ose eleh lo yimot liolam. The one who does these things shall never falter. Adonai natan va'Adonai lakach. Yehi shem Adonai mivorach. The Lord has given and the Lord has taken. May the name of the Lord be blessed. Kol amar kra, a voice says, cry out. Ve'amar maya kra, and says, what shall I cry? Kol basar chatzir v'chol chasto k'tzitz hasadeh. All flesh is grass, all its goodness like flowers of the field. Yavesh chatzer navel tzitz, udvar Eloheinu yakum leolam. The grass withers, the flowers fade, but the word of our God endures forever. At this point, I'd like to call up Jonathan Rubenstein, Freda's granddaughter, Samantha's husband, to recite the Psalm Kuf Chaf Aleph 121, and then introduce our speakers for this afternoon.
Shir Lamala Esa Nayalarim Ayin Yabo Ezri. Ezri Me'ima Adonai Oseh Shemayim Haaretz. Ayitin Lamut Raglecha Al Yanum Shomrecha Hinol HaYanum V'lo Yishan Shomer Yisrael Adonai Shomrecha Adonai Tzilcha Yani Minecha Yamam HaShemesh Lo Yakecha V'Yarach B'Layla Adonai Yishmarcha Mikol Ra Yishmor Es Nafshecha Adonai Yishmar Tzeitecha V'Echa Me'etav Yad Olam. A song to ascend, to lift my eyes to the mountains, from where will my help come? My help comes from the Lord, maker of the heaven and earth. God will not let your foot falter, your guardian will not slumber. Behold, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Lord is your guardian, the Lord is your protection by your right side. By day the sun will not harm you, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all evil. The Lord will guard your life. The Lord will guard your going and coming from now and forever. Just to start off singing a few words, Robert Pepper.
Chris? Welcome. Chris, Lauren, would you like to join me? Our grandmother, Mima. I'm representing my brother and sister together. We have a very short but very meaningful address to the team here, to the group, the family and friends. Mima led what can only be described as a very epic life. I mean, let's face it, 100 years and 5 months, and she embraced it. The adventures that she lived were amazing, and she's passing it on to us. Yes, she explored the world, but she also shared her love. And most importantly, she expressed great gratitude, always, with elegance. Now, she has wisdom, she has kindness, and you all might remember she always had a pair of high heels on. That was a signature mark of hers. Well, and there was the martinis, of course, can't forget those. But most of all, she looked fabulous to the very end. And we all saw that. We saw how grace is, how elegance is, how poised she was, to the very last breath. And it was amazing. So with that said, some of you may have heard this. We've heard it many times, and I think it's ingrained in our heads. But my grandmother, Mima, our grandmother, had a signature toast. And we'll do it today.
Raise your hands.
Here is the same time, the same people, maybe not the same place, but the same place.
Figuratively.
And often she would say, same time next year. But that's the elegance she had. And she had that honor of giving that toast for decades and decades to come. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker will be one of Freda's granddaughters, Samantha.
Thank you. Thank you. So my grandmother, who you guys know in many different ways, she was a fantastic parent to my aunt and to my dad. And maybe I think an even better grandmother. Maybe you guys disagree. And I feel like her grandparenting took on many different forms. It sort of evolved as I evolved. And so to begin with, she was Mima to me, and she was magical. She was just someone who, if I had to go to bed and she was staying in Maryland with us, she'd come with me. I would say, "Come on, Meme." And up she went. And then when she would put me to bed, she would be in the room adjoining and she would knock on the wall so that I would stay in my bed. And every now and again, I would end up in their bed between my grandparents. And one special morning in particular, my grandfather, who I guess was not cognizant of the fact that my dog had accidentally gone to the bathroom by his side of the bed, he got up, he went to the bathroom, he sloshed, and then he got back into bed. And in the morning, my mother comes running in saying, "How did you not smell this?" And my grandfather and my grandmother, we all looked at each other like dumbfounded, and he said, "Is that the way to treat company?" And she very much appreciated that moment and was that kind of grandparent that every day or every month or incredibly involved and persistent and fun and active grandparent. And as a teenager and a young adult, she was the place, well, first and foremost, she was the Mima that people knew from near and far, friends from all over, and wanted to come and stay with her in Florida with me. And she lived in Florida on a golf course with a pool. She was still super. It was 5 o'clock somewhere for her every day, so that was a huge plus. And she was just an interesting person who wanted to talk about the things that were forward-facing, because my grandmother was a forward-facing person in life, solution-driven in some ways, honest, extremely honest. And then as an adult, she became a guide, a mentor, an amazing great-grandparent. Can I take the water from my bag? And
Family.
oh, thank you so much. Sorry, thank you. So just a tremendous great grandparent, tremendous wise mentor. My grandmother and I enjoyed. In the morning, when I would take the kids to school and I would walk home, and I would call her. It was quite early. She would pick up the phone and she would put me on hold. She knew I already had my coffee, and she would run to the kitchen, make herself coffee, and quickly grab it, go back outside so that we could have coffee together and have that beautiful moment, conversation. And then as a great grandparent, I think stellar. She got to spend tremendous time with my children and other great-grandchildren, which is amazing. I think you said 9. Which is fantastic, just a huge blessing. My grandmother, I think, very much believed fervently that she was blessed and appreciated everything that she had, and really appreciated it and also enjoyed living it and spending it, and forward-facing, was plans for the future, what she would add to her home, how she could enhance the experience. My grandmother, in all 3 forms, as we evolved, she evolved. She also evolved with technology. She learned how to use new things, like an iPhone, and an Alexa sometimes when we would pop in and out, and the computer. And even years ago, I put her on JDate. We did that. That was a good time. And we. It was always, she was never disinterested. It was never something that she didn't consider learning, and if she couldn't exactly learn how to use it as a modality, she was very happy for somebody else to say, "I'll use it and you participate." And so she also, as she progressed in life and kept forward facing, she loved fashion. In fact, sometimes she would tell me she was shopping in her own closet, and out came couture. Like, that's how you know someone is quite fashionable. So she She had a beautiful style and a beautiful way about herself, putting herself together. It was like sometimes my dad and mom and I would want to go help her in her room, and she was like, I got it, guys. I can take it from here. She would come out perfect, impeccable, including makeup, and as her eyesight started to diminish, still, I don't know how she got that in the lines, the lipstick, really red. I mean, that was fantastic. So, you know, in the end, there is no end because she's timeless, she's iconic, and we're celebratory because she lived a fantastically beautiful, long, blessed life. And we are so, so blessed, everyone, to have known her, to have spent time with her, and to carry on all of the amazing things and qualities that she taught, that she gave over, that she loved. She loved black coffee. I can't drink black coffee, but I drink a lot of it, so I feel like it's okay. She loved martinis. I can do that. And she loved everything that she owned. I walked out of her room when I was sitting with her, I put on her clothes from head to toe and her bags, and I sat down next to her, and I'm like, Mima, I think I look great. Thank you. She loved living. And I just want to say that she said to me, and I think she said this to myself and to Lauren, she said, you know what, I want to keep listening to the birds. I want the sun on my face. I want the grass under my feet. And then as we went through this process, it was okay to let go, but those are the things that she wanted to make sure that we continued to remember, outside of all the other spectacular things, because she did want us to just sit around her table pretty much every month and talk about her and how fun and fantastic she was, and we will.
Absolutely.
We will. So I want to say that just in moving forward, that we're gonna hold on to all of the most phenomenal qualities of this person who always said to me, don't look back, just look forward, keep moving. So we're gonna do that, and we're going to carry her with us everywhere we go. Yes, I hope he's here.
Super. Our next speaker is going to be Jeffrey Berman.
How do you follow that? Samantha. Always a showstopper. Yeah, exactly. So I was thinking about this when Samantha, Aunt Ann, and Uncle Michael honored me with the request of saying a few words. I've been thinking about this for the past few days, and this is both easier and harder than the words I said at Papa's funeral. Papa's funeral, I talked about how he had, I'm going to mangle the Yiddish, so I'm sorry, rabbis, but there's something called sever panim yafos, which means he always had a smiling face. Every time you saw him, his countenance was one of joy. And there was something I wanted to say, but I didn't, because I didn't think it was appropriate for me to say at that time. Fortunately, a few other people who were speaking did, which was the amazing love affair that Mima and Papa had for the duration of their marriage. And if you sum up, you can't typically sum up a person in one word, but with Mima you can. Love. Love. She had an unconditional way of loving people. And that extended across our family to her grandchildren, great-grandchildren, I believe one great-great-grandchild, honorary grandchildren. It was relentless and unconditional. And that was amazing, because I was fortunate that I lived in Florida for a number of years, and we got to see each other quite often. And it was a beautiful thing, not so much for me when we would go into a restaurant and people would ask, where do you and your mother want to sit? That sometimes hurt, but she seemed to like it. And then very similar to Uncle Michael, who calls himself an introvert, but not really. When we would walk into the club, Mima was not only the mayor, she was the queen. Everyone knew her. And everyone loved her because she was love. And so, on the one hand, we can't be upset. She lived 100 wonderful years, but on the other, I'm gonna miss that love. Thank you.
Thank you. Those words were just so beautiful. Our tradition teaches us a beautiful, insightful comment, Dvarim hayotzim min halev nichnasim el halev, which means words that come from the heart enter into the heart. And we really just felt words of love, words of embrace, words of connection. And there was a lot of laughter just now. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. When someone lives for 100 years, and so much joy and so many connections and so many acts of love, I think that that feeling is really appropriate. I jotted down some words just now as I was listening, and also yesterday I got to spend some time with Zoe, learning about her relationship with her mother, and also I've of course talked to Michael a number of times about his relationship with his mother, and Michael is not here. We're thinking about Michael, wishing him a refuah shalema. He's in good hands right now, but of course he's in our hearts and minds, and really for Freda, her 2 children, this was her life. It was so important, and then by extension grandchildren and great-grandchildren. But I did jot down some words: mother, grandmother, sister, great-grandmother, queen of Boca Grove. Did I get that right? Beautiful, elegant, youthful, dressed to perfection, infectious smile, world traveler, Arichos Yamim, which means long life, Foma, stunning, full of life, high heels, kind, caring, martini, epic, adventurous, love, gratitude, forward-facing, solution-driven, philanthropist, Jewish Federation, very proud Jew, Israel defender and supporter, an overall wonderful person who just lived an amazing life that we can all be so inspired by. Our Rabbi Emeritus at Beshalom, Rabbi Tessler, who knew her a lot better than I did, sent me an email yesterday of some of his memories, and I just wanted to share them with you this afternoon. This is from Rabbi Tessler. I had the most enjoyable chuppah when I performed the renewal of vows for Freda and her husband Harry, when I think they celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary at Michael and Diana's home. It was filled with so much good humor and was such a celebration of love for everyone there. When we stayed at her home in Boca, she told us that she intentionally chose to move to a community filled with young people, surrounded by life, and not to live in a senior citizen community because she never wanted to grow old in her attitudes on life. She then drove us around in her golf cart to show us all of the youngsters living in the neighborhood. At 88, she traveled to Israel and celebrated with us, with the Tesslers at Safira and Aviad's wedding. Freda had an infectious smile and was a real cheerleader for her family and friends. Those were the words from Rabbi Tessler, and I think Aviva as well. I've been reflecting on what does it mean to live a life for 100 years, for an entire century. Whenever I have bar and bat mitzvah students, I always share with them when it's hard to understand, the giving of the Torah at Sinai was so long ago, 3,300 years ago. So I do something with them. I just line them up and I say, imagine that when they were born, I ask them, who was the oldest person in their life? Maybe a great-grandparent. They say 80, 85, maybe sometimes we get someone in the 90s. And I said, let's put that person next to you. And let's imagine that when that person was born, they had someone in their life who was 100, and put that person, how many people would it take to go back to Har Sinai, to Mount Sinai? It's only 33, right? It's not that many when you think about it. And of course, I'm doing the bar mitzvah. I say, imagine Moshe and Miriam are saying Mazel Tov to you. But I think about it in 100-year increments. And here to think about Freda's life, 100 years. We don't have to round up for her great-grandchildren. 100 years of loving, of giving, of making life exciting, meaningful, special, all of the wonderful things that we just heard. Her Hebrew name was actually Freda. which means happiness. It means joy. Kishma Kainhi. Like her name, that's how she lived her life. I think that we are going to be Freda will be in our hearts and souls for so many years to come. As was said, she's timeless, epic. She will always be there with all of us. We're going to keep her alive by doing those things that she valued that were important to her. Tei nishmata tzur b'tzur chaim. May her soul be bound in the bond of life. V'nomar amen, as we say amen. At this point, for those who are able to rise, I'd like to ask you to rise. We're going to do the memorial prayer. I'd like to call up Rabbi Mendel Blooming from Chabad in Potomac to recite the memorial prayer.
يا مالي رحميم شيخين بمرايميم همتي منو خنقينا كان في عشقنا بمعلس كدايش متايريم كزاي هنركي مسيريم اس نشماس Freda Epstein from Zelda. Shahal Chali Lama, Bavur Shanat Woodstock, Abadas Karas Nishmasa, the Canadian Taim Ruchasa, the Chaim Balarachim Yastida, Besisser Knaf of Leolamim, Vitra Bitrachayim as Nishmasa, Adina Yunachalasa, Besanuach Amishkava Bishalayim Raimar. Amen.
God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant proper rest on the sheltering wings of your presence, in the lofty levels of the holy and pure, who shine as the brightness of the firmament onto the soul of Freda Epstein, Freda Bas Shia, the Fruma Zelda, who has gone to her world and for whose memory we pray. May her rest be in paradise. May the Master of Compassion bring her under the cover of God's wings, bind her soul in the bond of life. May the Lord be her heritage. May she rest on a resting place in peace. And let us say, Amen. At this point, we're going to move to the Kvura, the burial itself. And as the casket is lowered, our rabbis teach us that this is a time to ask for mechila, to ask for forgiveness. So if there's anything that we said that we shouldn't have said, or anything that we wanted to say but didn't have a chance to say, for all these things we ask for your forgiveness. And we know, given who she is, that she's certainly forgiving us right now.
Póngale la llave ahí. La llave. Cierra. No, no, no.
We're about to begin the kvura, the burial itself. Our rabbis describe this mitzvah as chesed shel emet. It's the one true act of kindness that we do in life. Every time we do something in life, there's a certain sense of us that expects something back in return. But obviously when it comes to this mitzvah, it's just a true act of love. As everyone said, Freda was all about love. And this is an act of love, of care, to give her a dignified burial, to take care of her, to love her in this final, beautiful way. We have a number of traditions as we do the kvura, as we do the burial. Even though it is a mitzvah, it's obviously very hard to do. So the first one is that when we shovel, we put the shovel not face up, but face down. And the second one is that when we're done shoveling, we put the shovel back into the mound of earth, and then the next person will come and take it instead of handing it to the next person. Just a moment, we're going to ask family to come up first. We can create 2 rows, family on one side and everybody else on the other side, as we begin this very important mitzvah. All right, family, come up. You want to get inside the liner.
Anyone else is welcome to come around here. Line. Thank you.
You can create another row over here on this side, another line on this side.
If I fall,
Thank you.
this falls off again, I'm dead. Can you see it in?
Her nickname is Lonnie.
I just went this morning.
Yeah. I don't like stepping on people's gravestones.
Understood.
How you holding up? Yeah. You're connecting.
I'm gonna watch it. No, I don't see the other side.
Where's Vendel?
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's not going to be hard for us.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It takes time to cultivate that awareness. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think
We rock Gary.
Oh. I know you are. Are you protecting yourself from here?
You read the pollution? That's what I would add. Yeah, about 15 years ago. Well, that I knew of it. I think I had it before. So how are you? Same place. No, we actually sold that house. They're all here.
Everything's good. I have them all over. 3 in Florida and 2 in Maryland. And I'm waiting for I just got back from Israel.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. So, but I have a private practice. Mainly focused on Parkinson's and adults and autism and it's really good because my recent
Are you here in town?
I live here. Yes, I live in town.
Anybody did that?
I was living in townhouses, but she wanted to sell, and I'm not going to buy. So I rented a home on Delaware Drive, and it was great because I miss having a backyard where I could, do whatever I wanted to do because it was like because the HOA is a little bit disgusting.
Yeah, no, it is.
And
Thank you.
so
That's it. I'll
great.
give it hold
I
on.
got this.
Do you want to use it?
Vacation.
Because it has half the power.
Meetings
I might just say
with different people, no matter where I am.
You need a mic?
Oh, yeah.
That's just like great. Yeah. What happened to you here?
We can gather back. We're about to do the Kaddish for the first time. Everyone, please gather back.
Life.
Life. Yeah.
All right, good to see you.
Oh, okay.
We could have everyone come close, especially family. Thank you. Children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren come close.
I'm so sorry.
Before we do the Kaddish, we have earth here from Har HaZeitim, from Mount Olives in Israel. I asked Zoe yesterday, where were some of the places that Freda traveled? And the question back was, where did she not travel? Where did she not go? But one very, very special place, obviously, was Israel. And you shared with me how she went there right after the Six-Day War. She just wanted to be there, with Harry, of course. And now we're going to take earth from the land of Israel, from Mount Olives, from Har HaZeitim. We'll ask Zoe with support from her family to pour the holy earth onto the.
I know.
Cards themselves are just the particular one. Do you want me to do the full one? Whatever you guys. You can sit with me. No, fine. Okay. So Zoe, we're going to say the Kaddish for the first time. Yeah, we'll say it together. We'll say it together. Anyone else want to say it together? Absolutely. What's it? It doesn't actually. No, that's just it's not here. It's going to be too late.
The second row needs some.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, it's a shorter version. No, it's okay. It's different. So we're going to do the Kaddish. We have family here. I know that Michael's on the Zoom also saying Kaddish together with us. Kaddish comes from the word kadosh, holiness. As we say Kaddish, we think about Freda's holy essence, everything she stood for, all of her beliefs, all of her love, all of her care, and we're bringing that in right now as we say the Kaddish together. Yitgadal, Yitgadash, Shmei Rabbah, B'Alma, Divrach, Tirutei, B'Yamid, Malchutei, B'Chayechon, B'Yomechon, B'Chayei, Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'Gala, B'Zman, Kariv, B'Yimru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach, Leolam Ulomei Olmaya. Yitvarach, V'Yishtabach, V'Yitba'ar, V'Yitramam, V'Yitnaseh, V'Yitadar, V'Yitaleh, V'Yitala, Shmei Dekudshah, B'Reichu. Ve'ela Mikol Birchata V'Shirata, Tushbechata V'Nechemata, Damiram B'Alma V'Imru, Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'Chaim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Ramav, Uyaseh Shalom, Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Imru, Amen. At this point, while of course our minds and hearts are still with Freda, We also turn to the mourners, and we do the first act of Nichum Avelim, of comforting the mourners. So we'll ask everyone to create, we're going to go back out there, create 2 rows facing each other, and Zoe and family will walk through, and we will say the traditional words of comfort.
Rob, this is really slippery. I got my mom's hand. I got her hand. Where's Lars?
Please continue to support the family through Shiva and Michael and Freda Epstein. Shiva Minyanim will be every night at 8:15 p.m., beginning this evening through Sunday night. There are also visiting hours that have been posted to support the family. And as they walk through, please join me in saying the traditional words of comfort. Hamakom Yinachem Esrem Tov Shar Avilei Yom. Thank you. Hamakom Yinachem.
يا ملي رحميم شيخين بمرايميم همتي منو خنقينا كان في عشقنا بمعلس كدايشي متايريم كزاي هنركيا مسيريم اس نشماس Freda Bashir from Zelda Shahal Khali Lama Babur Shanat Woodstock Abadas Karas Nishmasa the Ganeden Taim Ruchasa the Chaim Balarachim Yasira Besis Knaf of the Elamim Vitra Chaim as Nishmasa Adina Yunachalasa Besanuach Amishkava Bishalayim Raimar Amen.